Hi, my name is Geoffrey Johnson, and welcome to the Read Desk. Today we're going to focus our attention on how to sharpen beveled knives. I use both beveled and double hollow ground knives when I'm making reeds, and I find that the edge on a beveled knife seems to hold its edge just a little bit more than a double hollow ground knife. I don't have to sharpen it as much. So let's get started. A beveled knife is different from a double hollow ground knife because a beveled knife has two different surfaces. You'll see that on a beveled knife, one surface is completely flat and the other surface is angled. It's flat and then it has a slight angle to it. You can see this one is angled on one side and it's flat, completely flat on the other. Let's see if you can see in the camera as well from the side view. This is also another beveled knife. It has a little bit steeper of an angle, but you can see, there you go, you can see on top, the top is angled and the bottom is completely flat. So we'll sharpen it just a little bit differently. I sharpen my beveled knives on India stones. Again, your India stone has both a medium grit, which is the gray side, and a fine grit, which is your brown side. This is a little gray because I sharpen my knives all the time. But you can use either side depending on how dull your knife is. If your knife is super dull, you're going to want to start with the medium grit, with the coarser grit at the bottom, and then go to the fine grit at the top. In one of our later videos, we'll cover how to really regrind a knife on starting with a diamond stone all the way up through Croxix to get it just as sharp as brand new. So we're taking our India stone. I'm going to actually use the fine grit, the red grit, on top to sharpen this stone, and we'll start. Now, normally I would do this on a flat surface, but since you're here, I'm going to hold it at an angle. But normally I would suggest just holding the stone down flat completely on the table. So the first step, I'm right-handed, so again, I want my last stroke to be away from me. When I'm finished, the very final stroke should end away from me. Remember, I'm thinking of making or sharpening a knife as the stroke's coming towards me and away from me. So that's really in my mind how I think of it. So I want my final stroke to be away from me. So to make that happen, we're going to start with the first stroke coming towards me. So the first stroke is going to be on the flat surface. I'm using the one that's completely flat, and I'm going to have the knife coming towards me. I'm going to put the knife down at the very bottom of the blade. It's touching the stone, and as I bring it up to the other end of the stone, I'm going at a diagonal, so I'm catching both ends of the blade on the stone. So I want the bottom of the blade all the way to the top of the blade on the stone. And again, the knife is completely flat as I do that. And you don't need to do it very much, probably 3 or 4 times. And then I'm going to end going away from me. Remember, the beveled knife has the natural angle of the knife, so I'm going to set the knife on the stone with the natural slant of the knife. So I'm not holding the knife up in the air as we do with the double hollow ground. Remember, with the double hollow ground, your final stroke, this is a landwell, which is a double hollow ground. This is just an example of the difference. So with the double hollow ground, your final stroke is at an angle, slight 15 to 20 degree angle coming across the stone. With our beveled knife, and this is back to our beveled knife, with our beveled knife, we hold the knife completely against the stone because the angle is already built into the knife, which is nice because then you're able to keep a consistent angle each time you sharpen the edge of the knife. So this is my final stroke. I'm going to come away. I'm going to end rather with it going away from me. So I'm going down, and I'm keeping with the angle of the knife. It's completely flat against the knife is completely flat against the stone, okay? And you saw how I'm catching both all the way from the bottom of the blade all the way to the top, because it's very important to catch the whole blade. If you do not get the whole blade when you're sharpening, for instance, if you just sharpen the top of the blade and don't catch the bottom of it, that's how knives, they really become useless after that because the edge of it becomes rounded. And so by catching the whole blade on the stone, I'm able to really get this knife and use it for its entire life. I mean, I can get a knife to go down to a nub, really, if I need to, by making sure that I'm sharpening the entire blade. So again, let me do that in real time, just from beginning to end of sharpening a beveled knife. We're going to start with the flat surface, completely flat. and I'm coming towards me. And then we're going to start, for our final stroke, we're going to have the angled blade coming away from me, okay? Catching the entire length of the blade. And really, that's it, right? So bevel knives are easier to sharpen in a lot of ways than double hollow ground knives. You can use either surface and get a great product. You always want to finish with a fine surface, though. So if you start on the coarser surface, make sure that you do finish with the fine surface. For any questions or comments, please feel free to visit my website at gjohnsonoboe.com. There you'll find my contact email, some other videos, and along with that, you'll also get the, I'll be posting the video of how to regrind a knife completely from beginning to end, from a diamond stone all the way up to a sharpening steel, to get that really just from the factory edge on the knife, which who doesn't love. Until next time, happy reed making.